On this episode of Just Informed Talk, I'm back, baby, and there is a lot to cover. I was just in Washington, D.C. in the middle of the swamp, and I got a lot to tell you guys about what's going on, and so does Q. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. Everyone, if you've hit that subscribe button, thank you. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications to be notified when these videos get posted. So today's video is basically starting right here. Q post 2560, where we left off was right here, Q post 2559. And if you guys want to get caught up on that latest one, I always encourage you guys to come back here to the landing page, watch these last few videos. They're going to get you caught up to where we're at. And there's a lot of other great content here and more content to come from the American Priority Conference, which I attended in Washington, D.C. This past week. That's why you guys haven't seen a lot of posts from me, because I've been actually quite busy traveling, networking, meeting people, doing all types of crazy stuff. But it has been an incredible weekend, and I have so much to share. So I'm going to kind of do this a different way today. I'm going to try to just talk about the Q post first, and I might get into some stories from the conference, but I might save that for another video because you guys got to hear the stories about what happened. I was confronted and attacked at Trump International Hotel in D.C. You guys got to hear this story. It's crazy. Then I met all these different people. I met Stefan Molyneux. I met Jack Posobiec. I met Mike Cernovich. And you know what? I had a chance to go to each one of them individually and bring up Q and ask them what their thoughts, theories, and insights were onto that. And some gave me not much, and some gave me a little bit of a better insight into how they think. But I want to share that with you guys. I'm not sure I'm going to have enough time to get through all the Q posts that have backlogged since I left off. And I'm probably just going to be able in this video to go through all of the Q posts and then let you guys in the comments start talking about it and all that stuff like a regular video. And then we'll make another video. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a live stream tomorrow or something like that. So you guys can look forward to that, where I'm going to talk about the conference. I'm going to talk about what happened at the conference. I'm also going to have a few other people, and I've done some great networking. It was great. I was there. I hung out with Dustin Nemos. He came along. What a nice guy. What a great person to sit down and have a conversation with. And I also want to bring Alex Phillips, the man who put the whole thing together, onto the channel. I want to do an interview with him, and he has a lot to tell us. Not to mention the fact that George Papadopoulos showed up, and there was just so many other people there. I don't even know where to begin. So I'm going to start with just what I know needs to get done, which are these latest Q posts. So forgive me for that long-winded intro, but if you guys are going, what in the world's QAnon and what's this guy talking about? Come back here to the landing page, watch this video, What is QAnon, The Great Awakening? It'll give you a great idea of what QAnon is and get you all up to date on all that info. And I really would encourage you guys to go check that out. Now, today, we have a huge backlog, like I said. So we're going to start right here with this post from December 6th, where we left off, where it gives us this Hill.com article, which talks about the feds receiving whistleblower evidence back in 2017, alleging the Clinton Foundation was involved in wrongdoing. So the article just goes on. It's a John Solomon article. He's always doing the most incredible work on these issues. And basically what it talks about is how there are all these questions around the Clinton Foundation. And what I wanted to point you guys to was this little snippet out of the article here. I'll post a link to the full article if you guys want to go read it for yourself. It's definitely worth the read. It's worth the 5 minutes it takes to read it. But I really would encourage you guys to read it. But I'm going to share this with you. And this talks about a report that was put together, and it says it was detailing what happened, right? And it was dated back from 2017. It says it was a 48-page submission dated August 11, 2017, which support claims with 95 exhibits, including internal legal reviews that the foundation conducted on itself in 2008 and 2011. Those reviews flagged serious concerns about legal compliance, improper commingling of personnel and charity business, and quote quid pro quo unquote promises made to donors while Hillary was Secretary of State. The submission also cites an interview its investigators conducted with Andrew Kessel that quotes the foundation's longtime chief financial officer as saying he was unable to stop former President Clinton from, quote unquote, commingling personal business and charitable activities inside the foundation, and that he, quote, knows where all the bodies are buried, unquote. So this article, it talks about how they did these internal basically reports on themselves, and they were flagging all of this stuff that was going on, basically trying to say, it was an internal review that was saying, look, there's a lot of impropriety here. There's a lot of commingling. There's a lot of questionable connections to different individuals, and there's no separation between charity and personal business. And there's this, legal compliance issue that's raised here. But this is just talking about the stuff we already know, basically, about the Clinton Foundation. I want you guys to come read this article if you want to. I'll leave a link to it, obviously. But Q goes on to say, read carefully. Why is the Clinton Foundation, quote unquote, back in the news? Well, the Clinton Foundation's back in the news, according to people I know, sources I've talked to now, who, trust me, I've met some pretty good sources at this point. And the reason it's coming back in the news is because this week we're going to have more hearings that are going to be diving into the fact that there is many ongoing investigations in the Clinton Foundation, still full steam ahead going with Huber and the Office of Inspector General with Michael Horowitz, that they've been doing the investigatory work. They've been putting together cases. There are sealed indictments that exist, according to Q, as we've heard before. And this, to me, is just another example of why there's a panic in D.C. And trust me, I was just in D.C. and they didn't like me. A lot of people did, but and it was so great. By the way, shout out to all the fans that came to the conference and everybody who was there as fellow presenters and all that stuff. You guys all know who you are, and it was a pleasure to meet and discuss everything that we did with all of you guys there, or I did with all of you guys there. But this is coming back in the news, obviously, because look, we're going to be hearing more about it, and it's going to become quite obvious in the next few days, I think, why this is coming back in the news. Because what do you think, guys? What do you think they do when they know something bad's about to come out? They try to run interference. They get a heads up, and they go, oh man, we need to start, getting information out there to kind of head off this story. So, that's what's coming. I think that's what Q's alluding to. And the next post is Q responding to his own post here, where it says, when did POTUS make the statement, quote, calm before the storm, unquote? When was Huber activated by Sessions? Who is assigned to Huber? Acting AG primary purpose? Scaramucci model? Public opinion. Optics do not matter. What was leaked today on purpose? And it gives us this tweet from John Roberts, the reporter over at Fox News, where he says, basically, President Trump wants to nominate William Barr to be the next Attorney General. Barr served as Attorney General during the Bush 41 presidency. While POTUS normally likes to surround himself with people he knows and likes, he doesn't know Barr, but Barr commands immense respect. Interesting move, right? And Q wants us to look at this. And going forward, it says Huber to testify regarding Clinton Foundation. Huber to reveal active probe actively underway in the organization. Office of Inspector General to release report number 2, overview indicating many potentially criminal referrals made. We do not discuss active ongoing DOJ FBI investigations, quote unquote. Military intelligence, FISA, the world is watching, Q. Okay, it's easy to connect all these dots if you've been following for a long time. The simple way to put it is Huber was activated back in November of 2017 when he was brought in to work with the Office of Inspector General and he built a team of 470 investigators to start going into things like the Clinton Foundation, the improprieties, the alleged corruption, all of that stuff, the quid pro quo nature of her time at the State Department, all that stuff is being investigated, right? Now, what Q wants us to look at is the Scaramucci model. Now, I was at a conference this weekend with Anthony Scaramucci, and according to people I know who talked to him directly, that he basically said, yeah, this Q thing's legit. And I wasn't there, so it's not a direct quote from me. I wasn't there, but somebody I know very well said he was talking to him, and that is exactly what Scaramucci said. But what is the Scaramucci play? Don't forget, Anthony Scaramucci was brought into the White House, I think it was the communications director. He was brought in for about 10 days or something, and then he was fired. But he served an important purpose. He made a huge splash, and he was brought in to disrupt everything, right? To change the dynamic, to keep everyone off balance, and to basically to force a new narrative when they were trying to go after this other narrative, right? So That's what happened there. And that's what's happening now with the acting attorney general, Matthew Whitaker, right? So the acting attorney general, Matthew Whitaker, is involved in this basically, you know, investigation and overseeing it now that he's taken over for Rod Rosenstein, and they're gonna get stuff done. Now, when they leaked this information about nominating a guy from the Bush 41 presidency to be the attorney general, well, my first thought is this, that person is presumably objective enough to be able to come on board, and that the other side can't point to him and say he's, this or that. I think there's really a big problem with conflicts. There's a really big problem that if the Democrats even have 1 inch, they'll take a mile as far as any kind of history of impropriety or some sort of conflict of interest between what he can do in an overseeing of this investigation and what is going to be coming down the pipeline. Now, it kind of speaks to the same thing that John Huber did, right? The reason President Trump's using John Huber is because he's almost politically untouchable. He was nominated by and praised by the Obama administration, and now he's being basically used and employed by the Trump administration to go and investigate the Clinton Foundation's improprieties. So that is what the testimony is going to be coming up, that he's going to reveal. He's going to talk about how there's an active probe actively underway into the organization, and that when we have our second Office of Inspector General report, which is going to be coming soon, there's going to be these inferences to potential criminal referrals that have already been made. They may be sealed, but they'll be alluded to inside of this new report, and that's something we have to look at. And again, obviously, we don't talk about active ongoing investigations, and that's why there's this whole, Socratic method of asking questions. So you're not actually, saying anything. You're not making statements. You're asking questions. Therefore, it's just question. It's not a statement. It's not a statement of fact. So then it says military intelligence, FISA, the world is watching, Q. Well, yeah, that's right where we're at. Military intelligence is a part of this operation 100%. The FISA is going to expose the wrongdoing and the corruption. They're going to expose how the FBI and the DOJ were weaponized against the campaign of the President of the United States, and the world is watching. So there you go. And the next one is this Fox News video. So I'm going to just kind of play it here in the background, but you guys can see there's this really ominous music to it, but I'm sure I'll get a copyright, whatever infringement if I use it. But it's talking about the allegations of quid pro quo promises, and it talks about how individuals came forward with hundreds of documents, and this is according to claims made by Representative Mark Meadows. And this is very serious because he's the leader of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, and he's the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. So there's an incredible amount of evidence that's looking like it might be pay to play, like he says here. This is the video Q wanted us to watch. It's kind of going through it, how there's really this investigation that's coming. And this is what we're up against, right? So I'm trying to let the video play through so you guys can see it. But it talks about John Huber and how he's been working on this for a long time, and this is just crazy how he's requested documents from a private firm that's been looking into the Clinton Foundation and conducting their own investigations, which is the one I think that was mentioned in the article before. But it says one of the biggest problems one of the biggest problems was former President Bill Clinton's commingling and use of business and donated funds and his personal expenses. Many people within the foundation have tried to caution him about this, but he does not listen, and there really is no talking to him. And that's from Andrew Kessel, as we were looking at in that earlier report from John Solomon. I think this is all coming from the same place, right? So this is what is being told us, that there was impropriety there, and it's being investigated. They're going to have a hearing on this. They're going to have basically John Huber's going to allude to what's going on. There may be a second Office of Inspector General report. It's going to be like crazy, but let's listen to what Q has to say. It says, interesting music for Fox News. Sound familiar? Why all of a sudden are people talking about the Clinton Foundation, including whistleblowers and hidden company established to investigate covertly ex-ABCs? Would you go public if the investigation was still ongoing? What happens when you have enough evidence to proceed? What is the benefit of educating the public prior to proceeding? Comey Q. All right, so basically, first of all, interesting music. Yes, it is. Sound familiar? I'm sure you guys have already figured this out by now. I haven't had enough time to really go look at it. I heard it briefly, and it didn't sound all that familiar, but I'm sure you guys know what it is. So leave that down in the comments. I'd love to hear what the music is. But why all of a sudden are people talking about the Clinton Foundation, including whistleblowers and hidden company established to investigate covertly, the ex-ABCs? It's because they want to get ahead of this. They want to taint the investigation. They want to sully the waters before, you can have this fair proceeding of, bringing forth the facts of the investigation as they are uncovered, as opposed to basically exposing facts before you're ready. They could actually try to tank the whole thing by basically just blowing the like exposing themselves and then saying, "Oh, it's been leaked. It's this or that." I think that's kind of a tactic they might be using, but that's just me. And I'm sure you guys have your theories, so leave those down in there, because I think what it's saying is that like that company that was established to investigate the Clinton Foundation was full of a bunch of ex CIA, whoever people who are basically just there to help keep everything undercover. And, they're going to expose the whistleblowers. They're going to expose all of this because they want to stop it. They want to throw a wrench into it, and they want to keep it from moving forward, or at least give this. If they know they're going to be facing it, they might as well try to get it out in the public before the investigation's ready to go forward, before the indictments are ready to be unsealed, so that when they're in court, they can say, "Oh, well, look, it was out in the open now, and we can't trust any of the witnesses. We can't trust any of the investigators." And it's saying, like, would you go public if the investigation was still ongoing? I mean, obviously not. If you want the investigation to lead to, an indictment and all that stuff, you want to let the due course of the law take full course. So this is really where I'm going to leave it, because it basically is saying what happens when you have enough evidence to proceed. Well, then people are going to be brought down, and they're going to be basically, the indictments will be unsealed, and people may be indicted. Straight up. So this is, what is the benefit of educating the public prior to the proceeding, or to proceeding, is obviously because you want to prepare them so there's not this mass panic and pandemonium. Obviously, you guys know I always point this out, 40 million plus people voted for Hillary, and it's just, to me, it's kind of crazy to think that, we can't, that they're all just going to sit back and not do anything and not say anything, especially with the way the media has indoctrinated and propagandized these individuals and ginned them up into this rage, this false rage, and this perceived Russian collusion, and how President Trump is just going after his political enemies, when in reality, it's the exact opposite. The media are the ones who are obviously trying to deceive, and President Trump's the one who's obviously trying to bring light to where there was dark. So, and Comey's going to be key to that, because it looks like Comey is probably going to testify, and he's probably not going to hold anything back, and who knows what that actually will end up being. We'll have to wait and see on that. Now, the next one is basically the best proof of Q yet, in my opinion. It gives us this Twitter account, right? It's the civil military error. It's this Twitter account where they're pointing out the fact that President Trump, when he was on Air Force One, used the call sign Q0. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's actually very clearly there. It's Q0 was the call sign. Isn't that interesting? Well, let's hear what Q has to say about that. Q says, "Where is the plus on a mobile phone when dialing? Trolling the fake news media is fun. At some point, the Q will be asked." Q. And if you guys go to your mobile phone right now, open it up. I'm sure you guys have one. If you don't, you can get one later. Go to dial. Like, you're going to dial an outgoing phone call. You'll see right there, the 0 has a plus right below it. And that means that Q is giving us this direct, proof that President Trump is Q. Q is Trump. They're on Air Force One. Q0 is Air Force One. Q is 0 equals Q plus. Okay. Just another Q. And you know what? The Q will be asked. Like, people are going to eventually start asking, who is Q? What is Q in the mainstream media? I really I guess I can't wait for that day. I mean, I was there in DC. I asked at a press conference, I asked Roger Stone if he had any comment on QAnon, to which he responded he had no comment. But still, I asked the question nonetheless. Plus, I got to talk to a lot of other people about it, and I even talked to a lot of reporters. There was all types of reporters there. I was talking to people, and a lot of the people I knew were talking to the reporters and basically getting them to promise to ask the question about Q. I actually had one person who got a reporter from, I think, Big League Politics to say that he would definitely ask the question if he ever had the chance, but who knows if he'll ever have the chance. But that is what is crazy, right? That we're all sitting here going, we want this question to be asked, but at the same time, we want this information. We want to keep learning, and it doesn't really matter who Q is because we all basically know it anyway. But Q is just another a way to get truth to the people, to go around the mainstream media, and that's why it's so important. So the next one was hilarious here. It's an anon saying operators are standing by. It says Q plus Q0, and Q says operators are active. Q, obviously, just another troll there. Scot-free, this is the next one. Scot-free equals where we go when we go all. You guys remember from the last video we talked about Scot-free Productions. They're the ones who made the film that was directed by Ridley Scott called White Squall, which has all of this terminology that we're using here on the keyboards, like where we go one, we go all, and other things. That's where it was basically taken from, which is kind of funny, but just another troll. It's so great how expert level troll Q is, and president or whoever Q is. Right? Exactly. It says, at what point do they wake up? I don't know if they ever will. They're willfully ignorant, and you don't know what it's like in the swamp, man. It is crazy. Some of you probably do, but I can tell you right now, I spent a week out there, and it is crazy, man. There's real evil in that city. I mean, as well as some really great people and really, really wonderful, awesome people, but there is some real evil in that city. And I'm going to talk about that later. Like I said, we might have like a live stream, and I'll go over it. Now, this one was incredible. We only got one post from Q back on the 9th, and it's these two pictures, which I just, when I saw them, I was like, are you kidding me? First, it's this one, which talks about the yellow vest revolution going on in France. And I mean, look at what they're doing, though. They're representing the Q movement. They've embraced it. They're coming out. They're marching, and they're saying, no, we don't want our country to be run into the ground by these globalists. No, we don't want a carbon tax on our gasoline. We don't want to be made to be impoverished so that we can enrich the elite, the unelected elite that run European Union and Europe. No, they're saying no to that, and they're marching through the streets, and this is why the mainstream media won't cover it. They won't talk about it, because it's an embodiment of what the Q movement is here in America. It's just another iteration of it that's happening abroad, and the world is watching. And then here's the next one. All the way from the South Pole. I don't know who this guy is, but you're awesome. And if you're watching, God bless you, sir. And look at this. I mean, literally, from the South Pole, we are having this movement. I think we're on every continent now. So we're officially on every continent. So, guys, this is worldwide, and we are a part of something great. And Q says the world is watching. It says united, not divided. Together we win. Where we go one, we go all. Q. And that's what I'm all about. Like, let's come together. Let's fight this evil together and do it the right way. And that seems to be the path that we're headed down. I'm very thankful to everyone who is working their hardest to make sure that fight for justice continues to happen. Now here, Q is pointing us to a few previous posts from President Trump that were basically proofs of Q, where basically people on the 4chan boards or the 8chan boards, I can't even tell, were asking and requesting, I think it's 4chan, we're asking and requesting that Q do these crazy things with President Trump's Twitter, where, they have, basically, they ask him to say something like, have President Trump use the word amazing in his next tweet, and it happens, right? And I'll show you this kind of graphic. You guys can see it kind of. So here it's this patriotic Pepe is over here with the Trump train, and basically then you have patriotic Pepe being retweeted. This is from 2016, by the way, and which goes to show you that President Trump's been basically working with his team on these boards for a while, it would seem. And then, of course, here's another guy who says, Mr. Trump, if you actually do lurk here and you like this meme, please use the word amazing somehow in your next tweet. And then they said here in the very next tweet, it says Colorado was amazing yesterday. So look, guys, obviously this was supposed to be a proof of Q that he was giving us. I mean, all the way back in 2016. This is not new. This has been going on. President Trump is going to come out and tell us the truth eventually. I mean, who knows? But it's not just him though. It's a team of people, and it's more than a team. We're a team. We're all Q. We're all here reporting this. We're all here covering it. And no matter what happens to one of us, we're gonna keep basically fighting to report the truth as we know it. And I think that's what's the most important thing. And it says scot-free here equals where we go when we go all. Now these two posts here, basically they give you this link to the 4chan board where people are talking about this. And then it gives this tweet basically from the 2016, which talks about patriotic Pepe, saying that only President Trump can unite America and unite America and fix Obama's mistakes. So of course it goes on to say, scot-free is where we go when we go all. Air Force One code change to Q0 is to Q plus, trying to tell us that it's Q plus. Obviously, it says Q POTUS Twitter 0 Delta exchanges. We've had many. Fake news. What that means basically is that they've literally put up posts at the exact same time almost and had these Twitter exchanges where they've posted things that people requested to prove that they're watching these boards, but very discreetly as to not be so obvious. But it says fake news coordinated attacks, number 2 only to POTUS. Yes, that's what we're under. We're the second most attacked next to the President of the United States, us who cover this daily and us who cover it for you guys to see. It says, how do you safely and securely communicate through a back channel with the public and bypass the fake news media? That's what this is, guys. We are bypassing the mainstream media because they're propagandists, they're liars, and they've been presenting you with fake news for so long that there's no other way to communicate with the American people other than to launch this guerrilla movement to get news to individuals in this country, the truth of what's going on. And of course, it's not the easiest thing to do, and it takes a lot of finesse, and it takes a lot of effort. But I'm telling you right now, this is what is one of the most important movements of our time right now is getting this information to the public. So we have to share all these articles, share all these links, share all these videos, get that information out there. It says, how do you safely and securely communicate without breaking the law and violating the National Security Act or national security? Well, obviously, like it's all been pointed out, it's like the Socratic method of asking questions without making factual statements, without making definitive statements. What you're basically doing is you're adding multiple layers of coincidences which mathematically prove legitimacy against the standard deviation if you read them the right way. And that is the same way that they avoid violating these national security laws. And it says, at what point do people wake up? Q, I wish they would wake up, but at this point, it is fine. We are going to keep going no matter what. We're going to keep reporting the truth as we know it, and I hope you guys stick around with me through this. Now, the next one, it points back to this retweet from President Trump, where he basically puts up this graphic, and it's got all these people. You got Obama, Podesta, Mueller, Rosenstein, Clinton, Holder, Uma, Clapper, Comey, and Loretta Lynch, all inside of a jail cell, presumably. And it says, now that Russia collusion is a proven lie, when do the trials for treason begin? And then Q gives us this John Podesta Twitter post where this is literally him saying, today, let the 4chan lunatics and QAnon crazies commence. Excuse me, John, let me ask you a simple question. If you're such a victim in all this, then why not just be more forthright with the media that wants to talk to you? A lot of people want to interview you. But you know what? We're just going to let the facts fall as they may. I'm not going to make any other statements on it other than that. But he obviously wants to call people who follow Q crazy. He wants to call everyone on 4chan a lunatic. So that's his choice. Those are his words. I'm not mincing them. They're here for you to read. And Q wants us to look at them. And Q says, define projection. Define getting ahead of this story. What is scheduled to happen this week? Coincidence, panic. This is as real as it gets. No escape, no deals. Add Brandon to the graphic and update. Raise a face turd muffin. Get him in there. Raise a face turd muffin. I'm sorry, I had to do that. That's my impression. You guys, I hope you enjoy that because that takes a lot of hard work to get that right. But it says evil has no place here, and I couldn't agree more. Q. Look, this is it. Q wants us to add the raisin-faced turd muffin to the graphic, and I have a feeling that some Anons are going to do that in a couple posts here. But it's obvious. John Podesta can read the tea leaves. He knows what's coming. He's trying to get ahead of the story right now because he knows what's coming. Guys, it's quite simple. Once all the cards lay out where they may, we're going to see the facts for what they are. But for now, we can take this information. We can say it's highly likely that all these individuals who have been implicated in all of these investigations are going to actually most likely end up under indictment at some point or another, but we'll have to wait and see about that because there's no certainty to it yet. But it says, what is scheduled to happen this week? Of course, it's panic. It's not a coincidence. They're having all these hearings with John Huber, and they're going to sit down and talk about the Clinton Foundation, all these improprieties. I mean, who were the people, who are the main cogs at the Clinton Foundation running everything? You have people like John Podesta. You have people like Hillary Clinton herself and Bill Clinton. These people had their hands in every cookie jar they could find, especially if it wasn't their own. And I can tell you right now, or allegedly, especially if it wasn't their own, but I can tell you right now that that's, like Q says, this is as real as it gets. And there is no escape. There will be no deals. And we can add raisin face turd muffin to the graphic and update it because evil has no place here. Q. And I can't tell you how much I love to see this kind of movement in the right direction. So now the next one says, POTUS, NSA, United States Military, the Freedom Caucus, Foreign and Domestic Patriots 2015, the fight to save the world. Q. This has been going on for, 3 years now. This has been being planned, meticulously planned, because the people in the highest levels of our government knew what was going on. You don't think the people at the NSA, like Admiral Rogers, saw this evil and thought, man, we got to get somebody in office who's going to confront this evil, or else we're doomed to end up repeating it for ourselves. And it's going to be a terrible cycle where people continue to abuse our system with their corruption. But it says it pulled in the NSA, it pulled in the United States military, it pulled in the Freedom Caucus, it pulled in the foreign and domestic patriots. And look at what we've been able to build to this point. It is a fight to save the world against an evil, a great evil that exists, that we're exposing systematically, step by step. And you guys just got to stick around for the ride because this is going to be incredible. Now they updated the graphic and you can see him here. Oh, he looks, the raisin face, he's in there. And says, thank you, Patriot. Fire at will. Q. This is it. Let's keep memeing. Spread this meme. Jeez. We got to get all this stuff out there, guys. That's what's really important. Now, the next one is this Twitter account, right? And we're going to read the tweet itself. This is from Tony Schaefer, and it says, it's responding to John Brennan's tweet where he basically says, whenever you send out such insane tweets, or inane tweets, I take great solace in knowing that you realize how much trouble you are in and how impossible it will be for you to escape American justice. Mostly, I am relieved that you will never have the opportunity to run for public office again. And this is John Brennan speaking to President Trump, basically. Well, I love Tony Schaefer's response to the raisin-faced turd muffin himself, saying, whenever we see you tweeting like a seditious clown at John Brennan, we know you are projecting your guilt and corruption in your own vile effort to continue to deceive the American people. You know how much blood you have on your hands and the treason you have committed. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. I don't take any pleasure in this, guys. I really don't. I do take pleasure in seeing justice coming down on some of these individuals, just the truth at least, and we'll have to wait and see if justice is truly served. But right now, people see it for what it is. And when you have a former director of the CIA making these kind of statements about a sitting president, you have to ask yourself, where does that motivation lie? Like, what are his motivations if he has to say these kind of things about a president? Do you think it's because he really believes that President Trump is this awful person, or do you think it's because he knows that he's basically involved in something really bad and that's going to be very, very apparent to the public, and he's doing everything he can to basically, they're doing everything they can to get President Trump impeached. They're trying to make it out like he's this, complete deranged person who can't run the presidency, who's got all these conflicts and is corrupt, when in reality all he's done is work his best every day to try to expose the real corruption that exists. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what that is. Public awakening equals game over Q, and that's right. That's it. That's what this is saying. Once people connect President Trump and QAnon, it's game over. I mean, it's game over, and that's why they're doing the best not to do it, because they're terrified of what will happen. Now, the next one is pretty interesting here. It talks about this graphic right here, which I'm not going to read through just for time's sake, but you all know this one. This was all the way back from December of 2017 when we had that Bangladeshi guy who went into the subway and ended up, basically setting off a bag full of whatever gunpowder on himself, and he didn't hurt anyone. And there was a couple people got a little stunned and shaken, but nobody ended up getting hurt seriously except himself, and he ended up getting arrested for basically trying to set off that device in that public space, and it was basically an act of terror. But that, to me, was given to us by Q. If you read through the post, like for instance, you all you have to do is look at it. I'm going to go through it very briefly. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll go through it very briefly. When Q said blunt and direct time, and he was talking about BDT, which is the Bangladeshi currency, right? Q even tells us later, what was I trying to tell you? And it's just another hint, right, that Q gave us of something that was coming down the pipeline, and it did. And we saw it, and it says example 22A, one of hundreds, drops layered to provide advanced knowledge. Do not let them divide you. Panic button pushed Q. So now that they see all this, guys, don't think for 1 second they haven't hit that panic button. They're not ready to do anything they can to distract and to get the narrative to change, because they don't want this coming out next week. So I'm just going to say, like Q says, if you see something, say something, be aware of your surroundings, and just be really safe, guys, because you never know what's going on out there. Now, the next one is a cute quote from JFK that says, quote, "The times are too grave, the challenge too urgent, the stakes too high to permit the customary passions of political debate. We are not here to curse the darkness, but to light the candle that can guide us through that darkness to a safe and sane future. JFK." And this is from Q. And that's it. I mean, that's so simple, but so true, guys. Look at this. What it's saying is that the sanity and the safety of our country is what's at stake here. And we're meant to push our country into that light and into that safety, because this is too important for us to let our little political squabbles and debates between one another come in the way of what is much, much bigger and what is much, much greater. And of course, here is this great cartoon by Ben Garrison. It depicts the Eiffel Tower with the yellow vest kicking the globalist, apparently Macron, where he's portrayed as a rat in the you know what. And it's unfortunate, as Paris seems to be suffering there, but that's what's happening, and it's capturing the Great Awakening. And yeah, if it's happening there, it's happening. It's been happening here. Now it's happening there. And I hope it continues to happen across the world, where people wake up and say, this is unacceptable. So yeah, I think that this is pretty incredible. So it's a great cartoon. And the link is just to that actual Twitter account where Ben Garrison posts his stuff. So the next one says, the plan to have the Fed raise rates, steep incline beginning March 2019, an effort to kill the economy prior to the 2020 presidential election, is known and planned for. Structure change coming. Q, I absolutely love it when Q says, addresses something that I've been telling people for a long time. I've been saying this for a while, maybe not as much here on the channel, but definitely to everyone I meet in public who always ask me. I've been doing all these different things. I can't even get into some of them. Some of them are still ongoing pieces of, like documentaries and stuff I can't even talk about. But let's put it this way. My whole thing has been, yes, they're going to try to crash this economy prior to the 2020 presidential election to make sure that President Trump doesn't get reelected. And it's so obvious that anybody could have called this. I wasn't making some great call. I mean, it's just so obvious, especially with the way they've been raising rates consistently. And it's good to know that Q told us that this contingency has been planned for, and that they know it's coming, which I knew they would know. But obviously, if they have something as far as structural change coming, That would be pretty incredible, especially when it comes to the Fed. We'll have to wait and see. That's pretty touchy situation. So we're going to go ahead and just leave that there. If you guys have any thoughts, leave them down in the comments. Now, the next one here is this Samantha Power tweet. We know who Samantha Power is, right? She is the former Obama ambassador to the UN. Yeah, of course. This wonderful woman. Yeah, right. And this is her talking about President Trump, saying that prosecutors have found no evidence of Russia, or Reuters talking about how there's no evidence of Russian collusion, right? And President Trump said it. So then they said, stop this, headline writers. This is what she said. If you want to quote this president in a headline in an age when many people read only headlines, you must write, Trump, a proven serial liar, says, but best not to quote him in the headline. No, actually, Samantha Power, I think they should put a little asterisk by your name and say, Samantha Power, former corrupt U.S. ambassador to the UN under Obama. I mean, how would you feel if somebody said that about you? Right? I'm just saying that hypothetically, but I would put it next to your name gladly every time, because if you're going to say this about our president, who are you? You're nobody. You're a former U.S. ambassador to the UN. That's nothing. You're no one. And you know what? All of your little minions and all your little corrupt officials that you've been playing and poking behind the scenes, they're all going to be exposed, including yourself. And what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to look like a complete fool, which you already look like by making this statement about the President of the United States, Samantha Power. And when we expose you, it's going to be such a sweet, sweet day to watch the indictments get unsealed and to see people like yourself and many others sitting in a courtroom trying to defend themselves for the crimes and corruption and treason that they committed against our country, if it all ends up happening that way. Oh man, I don't like when people say that kind of stuff. It says, those with the most to lose are the loudest. Those who knowingly broke the law in coordinated effort, treason, are the most vocal. Crimes against humanity, Q. Yes, Samantha, you're good luck. Good luck. I can't wait to see what we're going to unseal in those indictments about you. All right, so I'm going to leave it right there because that's getting me a little upset. Anyway, the next one says 17-minute delta between tweets, cherry on top. Now, what is that referring to? Well, you kind of have to go back to the keyboard to see what this is all talking about. So it gives you this is the post itself, and it gives you this other post, which is basically talking about President Trump putting this out here today, where literally it says, please tweet the word knowledge on POTUS next tweet for one more coincidence. And literally the next post, President Trump puts the word acknowledging. So technically knowledge almost is in it. But anyway, they call it a Q-proof, and I'm going to say, yeah, that's close enough for me, so why not? Just another Q-proof, a cherry on top for all the Anons out there, because they can't be too obvious about it now that everybody's probably watching. But seriously, that's what it is. Now, the next one here is this this Nate Kane, who, you know, let's pray for him. He seems to be the guy who was had his house raided, and he's the whistleblower who's going up against the Clinton Foundation. So what he says is, update, keeping my head up, staying strong in the Lord. 22 days since the FBI raided my house, and still no answers and no return of my equipment, which means I still can't work. God, please bring vindication and please expose those involved. Don't allow any evil to befall me. Amen. Amen, brother. I'm right here with you. I know all of us out here are right there with you, and what you're doing is probably one of the toughest things you may ever have to do in your life, but it's going to be an important part of the process to exposing this evil and getting justice and equality law to come through. Q says, sometimes, quote-unquote, intrusions have a way of safeguarding people and evidence. Sometimes, quote-unquote, intrusions are a necessary event in order to safeguard chain of custody. Post Office of Inspector General, I want to say... I'm not sure. I'm having like a total brain, you know what here. So Washington Bureau status, I'm not sure. Anyway, it says, plus doc handover protocols. Active criminal investigations of this magnitude must be handled with extreme care. The moment your name went live, there was no other choice. Keep the faith, patriot. You are never alone. Q. So this is great. Q's telling this guy, Kane, look, you know, this is for your own protection. This is a way of safeguarding yourself and the evidence, because we can't just leave it with you. It has to be put into the custody of the Office of Inspector General, and they have to basically go through the whole process of these doc handover protocols. So look, this is a part of the process, and hang in there. We're all praying for you. This is the biggest, probably, criminal investigation going on in our country right now. I'd say almost, if not really, it is. And it has to be handled with extreme care. And the moment that his name was out there, then they knew they had to go get it, and they did. So there you go. You are never alone. Q's always around, but more importantly, God is always there for you, and it's good to see that he's reaching out to God. And that's it. So we wrapped it up. Now, that was a long video, and I don't want it to be too much longer. So I'm going to do a few more things. Stick around. We're going to talk about a few things. First of all, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and come join me for this content every day, posting 24/7, 365. I know I took a break, but now I'm back, so you guys can depend on me to keep these videos coming very smooth for you guys. Watch these videos, share the links, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights down in the comments, all that good stuff. Can't wait to hear from you guys, especially down in the comments. I'm going to be reading through them after this video. Also, come over here and check out me on Twitter at Justin_formed. Once you do that, just come over to at Justin_formed on Twitter. And all you got to do is click the follow button, and you can get all my cool tweets and all this cool stuff. Like, I said, I was over here meeting Mike Cernovich, meeting Stefan Molyneux. I know a lot of people are like, oh, fake MAGA, all this stuff. Look, I'm the type of person who wants to have conversations, even with people I disagree with. So that's why I went and did it. I met Roger Stone. I met all these cool people, and they all have a very interesting, way of presenting their information. And I just think it's good to continue to go out and ask questions. So if you want all that content, come over here to Twitter at Justin_formed, or just search Justin Formed Talk. Now, a couple other ways you can help the channel, both financial. Come over here to Patreon, patreon.com, and search Justin Formed Talk. Click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. Set it and forget it. Give as little as $1 or as much as you want. It helps me out no matter what, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, guys. So please come over here and check out Patreon and help out, because demonetization on YouTube is real, and I depend on you guys to help me do stuff like travel to Washington, D.C. and continue to do this work 24/7, 365 for you guys. So I really appreciate it. Also, if you're not interested in the whole monthly donation thing, I set up this GoFundMe page. It's gofundme.com/just-informed. Click this button to donate. Anything you guys donate helps, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all your support you guys have already put in here. So thank you. I'll leave links in the description. Now, before we go, I'm going to finish it up with the best part of it all, which is a piece of scripture, and it's pretty simple today. We're just going to read out of Romans chapter 16, verses 25 through 27, and it's talking about how we should always put God first. It says, "Now to him who has power to strengthen you according to my gospel and the proclamation of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the sacred secret kept silent for long ages, but now revealed and made known through the prophetic scriptures, according to the command of the eternal God, to advance the obedience of faith among all nations, to the only wise God, through Jesus Christ, to him be the glory forever. Amen." And that's where I'm going to leave it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the channel in the next day or two. I'm going to definitely be doing a live stream. We're going to be talking about everything that happened at the conference. I'm going to lay it all out for you guys to hear. If you guys want to hear that story, come watch that. But if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here, click the big red subscribe button. That's going to be it for me. My name is Craig. This has been Justin Formed Talk. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.